Hey guys, welcome back. So this video isn't maybe necessarily a Christmas video, but it kind of goes along with some of the Christmas wintry theme stuff we have. I decided to go ahead and do it. So basically last year I did a video or a couple of videos in two parts on a European Christmas. In one of those videos, I think it was the second one, they went to Scandinavia, and I've apologize. I know some of the countries in that region are not part of Scandinavia. Sweden might be one that's not Scandinavia, so I haven't quite like cemented that in my head yet, so I apologize. But in that area, they went to, and I forgot what country it was. I don't think it was Sweden. I think it was Norway actually. And they were talking about the winter time there and the darkness and how it was dark during portions of the day and stuff. And I remember just kind of like being a little bit surprised by that, but now that I think about it, I don't know why I would, because it's pretty far north, and I know that in the extreme northern parts of the world, it can be dark for, I think, up to like almost 24 hours a day. I know in Alaska they have that. You know, if you're at the same latitude, even in other parts of the world, it's going to be like that too. So I'm interested to know what this is like in Sweden, and whether it's the whole country or if it's just the northern more part of the country that experiences this or not. Now this channel is one that I've never heard of before, Jana Yenten. I'm assuming that's how you say that, because I know the J's are pronounced with like the Y sound, I think, in that area. She has 3.97 million subscribers though, so she's doing something right. So this should be an interesting video, and I'm interested to learn a little bit more about the Swedish, I guess, landscape, geography, maybe some of the science behind it, and just kind of what life in general, like the culture is like there, especially in winter, like what they're going through right now. And I know I have some Swedes that watch my channel. I hear from you guys every once in a while to learn a little bit more about your country.
My name is Jonna, and I live in the north of Sweden.
Wow, that's really cool. I love the northern lights. She lives on a wilderness.
Sweden is a country with a lot of light. And it's also a country with a lot of darkness. It all depends on what season it is. Just like many other countries in the Northern Hemisphere, there is a strong contrast in the light conditions between summer and winter. In the winter, it's dark almost all the time.
So crazy.
And in the
so
summer,
crazy.
It's light all the time.
Yeah, that's crazy. That would just mess
During
with me.
the summer, in the very north of Sweden, the sun never sets between the end of May until the middle of July.
This would mess with me psychologically, like seriously. But I guess if you grew up in this, it's normal for you. I mean, for it to look like that and it's like 3 a.m.
So you can see the sun 24 hours a day, and that is called the midnight sun.
Yeah, definitely heard that term before.
And then, during the winter in the very north of Sweden, it's the opposite. For a couple of weeks, the sun never rises above the horizon, which means that there is no sunlight for about a month, and that is called the polar night. These extreme contrasts in light is caused by the rotation of the Earth in relation to the position of the sun, and the further north you go, the bigger the contrast. I live in the middle north of Sweden, and if I'm lucky and it's a clear sky, I can see the sun above the treetops for about an hour during the darkest time of the year.
Wow.
It's the middle of the day, and this is how high the sun goes up now.
Wow.
It's just a little bit over the horizon, or over the trees.
But winters like this one, when it's been cloudy every day, I actually didn't see a glimpse of the sun for over a month.
Oh my God.
But just a few days ago, now in the beginning of January, I got to feel the sun on my face again.
This is the first glimpse of the sun that we see in over a month. Do you see this?
Oh, and she looks so happy to see it too. Like, I wonder if like depression is more of a thing in these parts of the world where that happens. You know, they say that the sun helps fight depression. Sometimes you can get out and get some sunlight and stuff. If you're just in constant darkness all the time, that really does have to have a psychological impact on you. Like, I'm somebody that likes like gloomy or cloudy, rainy days and stuff, but if there are too many of those in a row, then I really start to feel a little more depressed. So I can only imagine to go like that for an entire month where there's no sunlight whatsoever. That's insane.
And that feeling when you begin to feel the sunlight again in January is always overwhelming. It's like seeing the sun for the first time in your life.
Dog. So I guess, right, is she saying this happens in January, so that means that like right now in December, it must be that dark month happening in Sweden.
Even if it can be hard sometimes with these kinds of light conditions, I really love it and I would never want to change it. I think the light is never as beautiful as it is during these most extreme times of the year.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
When it's summer, I usually change my rhythm and stay up all nights and then sleep in the forenoon instead. The light is so beautiful in the middle of the night, and as a filmmaker and photographer, it's like a dream to be out and capture the beauty of the bright nights of June.
It makes sense why this video looks so good. It's crazy that she's dressed like that in the summertime too, you know, which makes sense, you know, in that far north. The temperatures are probably not that warm, even in the summertime. But still, it's just a different world up there, isn't it?
And then in the winter, even if we don't get so much sunlight, we at least get a few hours of twilight during the day. And that light is the most beautiful kind of daylight that I know. It's like experiencing a long sunrise without a sun. And when it's a clear sky and the sun is rising just a tiny bit above the treetops, it spreads a soft and pink light all over the landscape. And that is beyond beautiful.
These trees, they look like little miniature trees that you would buy at a store and put like on a train set, you know, thing that you build or something. They don't even look real. But by the way, she's a very good cinematographer.
Soft and pink light all over the landscape. And that is beyond beautiful. Around 3 in the day, it's already getting dark, and it makes the evenings feel never-ending. But the darkness makes us see what is never visible in the light. Because actually, we do get sunlight from thousands of suns far, far away. I live in a place where there's no light pollution, and the night sky is breathtaking. And for me, that is one of the reasons that I really love the winter here. And now and then, the sun sends us a greeting in the darkness. Particles from storms on the surface of the sun comes traveling towards the earth, colliding with our magnetic field and creating the aurora borealis, the northern lights that dances in the sky. I can never find the right words to describe how much I love to stand under the northern lights on a cold and dark winter night.
That's one of the things that I would like to see, I think, in person. And I heard, does it make a sound too? For some reason, I think it also makes some kind of sound as well, but I may be wrong about that. That's definitely one of the natural phenomenons I would like to see. I would love to like be in a place like this to see the northern lights and then see the stars without the light pollution, because I don't know if I've ever been anywhere that had no light pollution. Maybe in the Mojave Desert. I was out there once kind of in the evening and kind of got to see a bit of a sky like that because there wasn't really any light around. Still, I don't know if it would have been as pure as this.
I can take the darkness any day as long as I get to see the stars and the northern lights. It makes it all worth it. But even though there is so much beauty to find in these special kinds of light conditions that we have here in the north, I would lie if I said that it's always easy to live and adapt to them, because it's not. Well, the summer is easy. I don't think you can have too much light. The only thing that people often ask me is if it's harder to sleep when it's light all night. And for me personally, if I want to sleep during the night, I have no problem with that. And for those who do feel like it's a problem, it's easily fixed with some thick and dark curtains.
I was gonna say, like, you can black out the room even during the day like that, but it's much harder to simulate daylight.
But the winter and the darkness is definitely much more challenging, and I can only speak from my own experience now. The lack of sunlight makes me more tired, and during the darkest and coldest months, between November and March, I sometimes struggle to keep the energy up. It's harder to get up in the morning when it's dark outside. Our body naturally want to wake up with the sun. And in the afternoon I often get confused with the time, since the darkness makes it feel like it's much later than it actually is. And the lack of daylight makes me struggle more as a filmmaker, since I only have 1 hour of good light to film in a day, compared to the 24-hour of good light in the summer. So the darkness, combined with the cold, make things a bit more challenging, and I know I'm not the only one struggling to keep up the energy during this time of the year. But of course, there is many things you can do to make the winters a little easier. I want to mention a few things that helps me adapt better to the lack of sunlight. For me personally, I think that the tiredness that I feel in the winter is the hardest part. The energy level is so low sometimes, and the cure to that is not always to sleep more. It can actually be to do the opposite. So I try my best to keep being active and moving my body as much as I can, and get as much daylight as possible. I go for long walks with my dog every day. And if the weather is good, I like to go out in the forest with my snowshoes and my camera, or go skiing. I also love to take ice baths. It's something I started doing a few years ago, combined with breathing exercises using the Wim Hof method, and it has become my favorite way of boosting myself with new energy when I need it the most.
No, thank you.
Going into that freezing water is actually the last thing that my body wants to do in that moment. But putting myself into that kind of discomfort is awakening something in me that helps me reset my body. Believe it or not, but cold swims and cold showers has many good health benefits. It's not for everyone, of course, and it's important to get knowledge before trying an ice bath if you have never done it before. But for me, it has been a great source of energy and joy during the winter time. So, I really feel a big difference in my energy levels in the winter when I move my body in some way. It doesn't need to be a full workout, but just something, a little every day, that makes you feel alive. When we can't get enough energy from the sun, I think it's even more important to make sure that we get enough energy and nutrition from our food. Nature has so much to give us in the summer that we can harvest and save for the winter when we need it the most.
I feel like she lives in some kind of mythical fairyland or something. I mean, the way she's presenting the area where she lives, I mean, it's like she has this entire country to herself almost.
Here in the north we have plenty of berries in the forest, so I like to pick tons of blueberries and lingonberries and put in the freezer so that we can eat berries and drink juice from berries every single day during the whole winter.
Makes their own juice from real berries. Like, what?
I also like to pick different herbs that are good for our health and dry them to make my own tea for the winter. One of my favorite teas to drink when it's cold and dark outside is simply made out of birch leaves. I pick them just as they begin to bloom in the spring, while they are still small and light green. And the tea smells and tastes just like how it smells like in the spring. And in the middle of the winter, I think it feels so comforting to have a piece of the spring to remind you of the wonderful time to come when everything is blooming and the birds are singing again. And of course, I also take vitamin D supplements since we don't get anything from the sun in many months. Even though that would never replace the sun, I believe it can help a little bit. The list of things you can do to handle the darkness is endless. These were just to mention a few, but I think that the most important thing of all is to accept and adapt to the cycles of nature. I definitely feel a big difference in the energy during summer and winter, both in nature and in myself. And that doesn't mean that it's right or wrong, it's just different. I think the winter and the darkness can cause a lot of unnecessary suffering when we are trying to force ourselves to feel the same as we do in the summer. It's okay to feel tired. It's okay to feel lack of inspiration. And it's okay to need more sleep and to let things slow down.
You know what? I actually have been discovering this myself over the past few weeks. I've just had a lot going on. I've fought against it, thinking I'm not supposed to be feeling tired, I'm not supposed to be doing this or that or whatever. Trying to hold myself to a certain standard or trying to be a certain way when it's just natural for whatever circumstances I'm in to not feel that way. To feel this other way because that's the circumstance that I'm in. That's a really important message, I think, is you have to recognize that, recognize your environment, what's going on in your life, and don't try to fight against nature, but just to accept it and go along with it. And it's just easier to deal with when you do that. I think this is a really important message, what she's saying right here.
A flower would never force itself to bloom in the cold winter. So why would we? This way of thinking changed my way of dealing with the different seasons. I love the winters just as much as I love the summers. They both have their own benefits and challenges. And I think it gets much easier when we let go and accept what we feel instead of fighting it, and accept the cycles in nature and the cycles in ourselves and learn to live with it. Like a dance. So, this is how it is to live with the light and the darkness in the north of Sweden, from my perspective. The extreme contrasts in light also creates a bigger contrast to the seasons, and they all have their own beauty. I love the constantly changing seasons, and that you can see and feel how the light changes a little bit for every single day that goes by. The beautiful balance of light and darkness is my greatest source of inspiration, and it makes every day feel new and different.
While going into this, I didn't know what to expect at all. I didn't know that she was the filmmaker, photographer for this video. It was very, very well put together, very well done. Kudos to her for that. Extremely high quality stuff. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed her presentation of it. You know, she kind of like gave a little bit of a scientific, you know, bent on it without, but she did it in a very artsy way, you know, so it felt like you weren't even learning anything because, even though you were, because of just the way that it was just so easily presented, and the beautiful scenery and stuff, just kind of like, oh, the way she used it to emphasize her points and everything, and just all the work that went into that, to put all of that well, first of all, to capture the footage and then to edit it together and put it together. It's a lot of work to do that, and then to write the script, and she's a really good filmmaker, and I'll have to check out the rest of her channel and see what other types of stuff she has on there for sure. The link to the video is in the description, so if you guys are interested in her channel, go check that out. It's also cool just kind of seeing some of the landscape of Sweden. It definitely had it looks pretty much like I would expect it to, you know. Of course, it was all rural Sweden as well. Yeah, it was really, really nice. It had kind of that bluish winter look to it that I would probably associate with that part of the world. But she lives in a really, really beautiful area. Like I said, it looks like just a fantasy land, you know, that you would live in. So yeah, I'm sure Alaska is very similar, or just any country that's going to be along that latitude. As a matter of fact, I would like to kind of see latitude. Alright guys, so the latitude of Sweden is 60 degrees north, but that, I don't know if that's the border. What latitude is in northern Sweden? 61 degrees, that's Norway. Latitude map, maybe. So we have the lat-long map of this. So so 60 degrees north is right here, which you guys can't see on here, but there. 60 degrees north right here is this line going right through Canada. Okay, so Sweden here. So we have a dotted line here. I wonder if that's the Arctic Circle. Yep, Arctic Circle right there. So it looks like Sweden's a little, well, Alaska extends south too. Sweden and Alaska are pretty much on the same latitude. So are Finland and Norway. So I would imagine that the weather, winter, all of that stuff is going to be very similar to what they experience in Alaska, and of course northern Canada. And then Russia also. Half of Russia is above that latitude. More than half is. Greenland. Not too many countries are. Iceland is too. Okay, so Iceland must also experience that as well. But she also said that it was mostly she kept saying northern Sweden, so that makes me think that maybe the southern part of Sweden doesn't have quite the same extremes in winter and summer. But you guys can let me know about that. And the UK is also, part of the UK overlaps. I mean, the UK is right up there, close to the 60-degree longitude line. And I know in the UK you guys have, your sun comes up at like 5 a.m. or something, which is really early. Like so if I look up London, okay, so in winter in London right now, you guys have an 8:04 sunrise and a 3:54 sunset. Where I am right now in Tennessee, our sunrise is at 7 a.m. and sunset at 4:51. So we have a little bit more daylight than you guys do. And in the summer, I think also you guys might have a little more daylight than we do. Now, my question is, does this happen in the southern hemisphere too, or no? Because of the tilt of the earth, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. Like, you never hear about the southern hemisphere. I was looking at this map right here. So the 60 degree line is right here, and you can see that most of the world's population is above that. So the only thing below south of that is Antarctica. And the Southern Ocean, this used to be called the Antarctic Ocean, I think. When I was in school, they changed the name of this ocean. So, okay. Southern Ocean, formerly the Antarctic Ocean. Okay. You gotta let people know when the names of stuff changes. Like, if you learn it a certain way, like, how are you supposed to know when stuff changes, like, unless you're in school? Alright guys, well, I guess that'll do it for this video. Let me know what you thought about it down below. Answer any of my questions if you can about the southern hemisphere and all of that stuff. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you like and subscribe. I would certainly appreciate it. And check out my social media links, Discord, Patreon, all of that stuff in the description and the pinned comment. I have a Star Trek podcast called Tribbles and Transporters for all you Trekkies out there as well. Links to all of that in the description, pinned comment. So yeah, Roger, Rudolph, Scarlett, and I thank you guys for watching as always, and we will see you next time.